civilization, not a utopia, but an advanced military empire wiped off the face of the earth by what we can only describe as a planetary cataclysm. If Plato is proven right about that, then all his other claims, and you see how far-reaching they are suddenly given far greater weight.
But is there another explanation? Is it possible that Plato's narrative of Atlantis is a fusion of fact and fiction, an interweaving of a moral lesson with details inspired by real history?
I think people get confused by the fact that Plato uses fiction in his teaching. No one reads Timaeus and Critias as if it's a word-for-word recollection of a real conversation. But if I can illustrate with one of my books, about 20 years ago I read a book called My Dinner with Anton, and it's a conversation between two people I made up. One is a 250-year-old monk called Anton, fictional, and a fictionalized version of myself, again, fiction. We didn't meet for dinner, and we didn't have a conversation. It's fiction. But the conversation is about a real historical person, Seraphim of Sarov, and it's full of quotes from real historical conversations. So the whole thing is written to convey an aspect of Seraphim's teaching. And it's all my own work. It's written really to convey my own thinking at the same time, what I have learned from Seraphim. So My Dinner with Anton is all fiction, it's all true, it quotes a real historical figure and real conversations, it's all Seraphim's teaching, and it's all Paul's thinking. The conversation never happened, but it relays real history. Now, of course, 20 years ago, I thought I was a genius thinking this up. But of course, there's nothing new under the sun. I'd only reinvented the wheel. Countless writers through the ages have written dialogues with layers just like that. And in his dialogues, that's exactly what Plato does. So in Timaeus and Critias, where Plato talks about Atlantis, it's all fiction. It's all written to convey Socrates' real historic teaching. So it's all Socrates. These are Plato's beliefs, so it's all Plato. He quotes a real historical figure. The conversation never happened, but it's entirely possible that it relays real history. So if it turns out that Plato's claims about history are real, if we find Atlantis, what else in his teaching might we take out of the pure fiction basket and listen to a little different? What about Plato's claims about human origins? The origins of the universe as a unified field of consciousness and intelligence and love. What do we do with that? Or his teaching that the origins of Homo sapiens included this external intervention in our evolution by another species, which was an intervention to heighten our intelligence and consciousness. Do we begin to take that more seriously? Or what about Plato's claims about people similar to us, more intelligent than us, more advanced, longer lived, with spacefaring capacities? What do we do with that? What do we do with Plato's claims about our consciousness surviving death and carrying the lessons of this life? Do we take that more seriously? Or Plato's claim that around every 5,000 years human civilization is taken down to a virtual zero and reset by some planetary catastrophe, which he said was triggered by the movements of space objects, planets, and asteroids. Are we ready now to do business with that? And what do we do with Plato's claims? An altered state of consciousness can actually provide information to us and can help us shake off the anxiety that so detracts from our enjoyment of life. Is that a lesson that we're finally prepared to take seriously and not feel threatened by? What about his claim that it brings us real information about other dimensions? I think we rob ourselves when we dismiss Plato as fiction. I want to know the truth of what he's saying. And personally, I don't need Atlantis to be found. to find truth in what he's saying. No one would deny that Plato is the most important thinker in the history of Western thought. The British mathematician and philosopher Alfred Whitehead famously described all European philosophy as no more than a series of footnotes to Plato. That's how important he is. And in my view, we don't need to read Plato's Atlantis narrative in a fundamentalist way as word-for-word history to take Plato seriously. But if we were to establish the existence of Atlantis and locate its remains, what an incredible look at this! That would supply to all of Plato's claims.
Thank you for watching the thought-provoking program.